To order the special council meeting of the Common Council to order. Please note the time is 6 p.m. This is a reminder for council people to please make sure you're speaking to your mics. Melody, would you do a roll call, please?
Councilman Holtz.
Present.
Councilman Curry.
Here.
Councilwoman King.
Here.
Councilman Mishler.
Present.
Councilman Fish.
Here.
Councilman Hines. Councilman Crabtree.
Here.
Councilman Hinkie. President Dawson.
Present. Also present is Mike Huber from Economic Development. Would you ask the clerk, would you read the special notice? Melody, please.
To the city clerk and the members of the Common Council of the City of Elkhart, Indiana. Ladies and gentlemen, you are hereby notified that in an ordinance with the power vested in me by the statutes of the state of Indiana and the ordinances of the City of Elkhart, Indiana, I hereby call a special meeting of the Common Council to be held in the municipal building in the council chambers on the second floor, 229 South 2nd Street, Elkhart, Indiana, for Monday, the 25th day of November, 2024 at 6 p.m. The purpose of this meeting will be to adopt a proposed ordinance regarding an annexation. The council will take action upon the following proposed ordinance. Proposed ordinance 24-0-50, an ordinance amending ordinance number 5983, an ordinance annexating certain real estate described as Elkhart East Annexation Phase 1 into the city of Elkhart, Indiana. The city clerk is hereby ordered to prepare and cause to be served on this council member a certified copy of the special call in ordinance with the law, signed Arbus Dawson, President, Elkhart City Common Council, attested by Deborah D. Barrett, Elkhart City Clerk.
Thank you. Would you read proposed ordinance 24-0-50 by title, please?
Proposed ordinance 24-0-50, an ordinance amending ordinance number 5983, an ordinance annexating certain real estate described as Elkhart East Annexation Phase 1 into the city of Elkhart, Indiana.
I get a motion and a second to adopt this ordinance.
So moved. Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Crabtree, second by Mr. Fish. Council discussion.
Good evening, John Esper, Corporation Counsel. The proposed ordinance before you is a voluntary annexation. The applicant, through the applicant, the owner of the property, one applicant, one owner, secured the services outside of an outside consultant to prepare the legal description, to then bring the petition to the Plan Commission and ultimately to the council. That legal description had more than typographical errors. It had a fatal error to the extent that it described property that was not intended for annexation. So there was no simple way to correct this other than, in some respect, to start the process over, provide the public hearing at the Plan Commission, and once it goes through that process, bring it back to this council to correct the legal description. And that's what this proposed ordinance does. It provides the accurate legal description and therefore properly annexes the property.
Mr. Bishler.
Thank you. So, to my understanding, is this an amendment to the previous, or is this an entirely new ordinance correcting that information?
It's an amendment to the previous legislative act to correct the legal description, to properly define the property that was previously intended to be annexed.
Okay, so does it need the public hearing? Does it need to go
Yes.
through all that stuff? Okay, so are we doing that right
Yes.
now?
Yes. As soon as he gets it done, we'll open up to the public.
Okay, and when was this presented on first read then for us? Is this
At our last council meeting, at our special council meeting?
It was at a regular meeting of the council, and this meeting was called at a time after sufficient
Okay, that's right.
notice of the public hearing could take place.
Okay, because I didn't know if we were required to do a rule
that's-
suspension or something like that, but it sounds like we don't need to in that regard. Okay.
Ranky.
John, it seems as though, since there was official action taken on the original passage, that something has to be determined, and I'm wondering if in 24050, the last paragraph on that page, if we need to state something to the effect, whereas the city of Elkhart intends to amend ordinance number 5983 by replacing it in its entirety and restating the ordinance retroactive to the effective date, I think it's 6/3 of 24. It seems as though we original ordinance to make sure it can't be acted upon or confuse future annexation in general. Would you agree that we just have to make it so specific, note that it's a full replacement?
And it was my expectation that the language that you cited would accomplish exactly what you understood to be an important aspect of this amendment.
Thank you.
Because if I could then, because as I read that paragraph, it wasn't as clear as replacing it in its entirety. It says restating the ordinance in its entirety. Now, that may be a legal use of word, but replacement is what it is. Restating, correcting of errors, I just believe it, without question, if we said replace in its entirety.
That's fine with me. What I was intentional of avoiding was the suggestion that that the council was repealing the previous legislation, which could cost a year's worth of tax revenue to the city.
Well, so if we replace it, errors, restating then that it remains retroactive to original 6/3 of 24.
Yes, that would be effective as well.
Chad, you have your hand up? No. Mr. Mishler.
Thanks, John. So I understand that this sort of thing happens from time to time, but this made it through Planning Commission and made it through council and legal and everything like that. What can we do to make sure that this kind of error doesn't happen again, where we're at the 11th hour, trying to see this? What can we do in the future to prevent this from happening?
We could require that outside consultants submit the legal description to the county in advance of our action on the legal description.
Would that increase the burden or time required? Or
I
anything
think
like
it
that?
would it would create quite a, that would be an ideal world. I don't think the county would necessarily see the benefit of getting out ahead of these problems by essentially serving as a proofreader of an outside consultant's work. I mean, they're engaged for their expertise in that area, and to a large extent, we just have to rely upon them to provide accurate descriptions. And when the other professionals within the county take that and lay it down on a map by meets and bounds or by description of subdivisions or plats rather, we just have to expect it to work. And when it doesn't, if it happens enough, we stop taking the work of certain consultants. But that's not our situation yet.
Okay.
It happened, and the individual responsible was very apologetic, and even proposed that in future annexations that he works on, that he will take his legal description to the county in hopes of receiving a advance approval
Thank you.
before the Plan Commission process
Fish.
even begins.
Yeah, well, I don't want to talk about new legislation that we would take and create that deals with a county issue. I heard language there that I'm not comfortable with. I want to get right back to this, and we don't need to be here all night. We can talk about new legislation later. What do we need to do now, John? What are you
Conduct a
comfortable
public
with?
hearing.
What's going to clean this up, get it moving in the next 20 minutes?
Proceed with your public hearing, your debate, or on the legislation
Language in
and
this,
take an action.
as presented, will satisfy the legal descriptions and
Ms. Holtz.
Mr. Esper, I wanted to ask, has anyone been harmed since this was passed to this moment in time?
No.
Mr. Hinkie.
Mr. Esper, I would also ask, when was the error found, and by what?
The error was found when the recorder and the county GIS professional attempted to lay the legal description on the map. And that's where the error was found.
And then, so finally, in addressing, which I appreciate, whether the outside entities that have been engaged would reference a page number or copy out the page number to provide the city for more clarity so that it does actually match or see. I don't know the answer to that. Correctly managing the legal description. So it could be on them, I would think. And then I go back, if you don't mind, to an amendment that I would ask for. That is on the one, whereas the city of Elkhart intends to amend ordinance 5983 by replacing it in entirety and making it, and continuing the retroactive to the original effective date of 6/3/24.
Got a motion. Is there a second? No second. Thank you very much. Thank you, John. I'll open it up to the public for public discussion. Is there anyone in the public who would like to speak? Seeing none, I'll return it back to the council. Is there any other final council discussion? Seeing none, Melody, would you do a roll call vote on second reading, please?
Councilman Holtz.
Yes.
Councilman Curry.
Yes.
Councilwoman King.
Yes.
Councilman Mishler.
Aye.
Councilman Fish.
yes.
Councilman Crabtree.
Yes.
Councilman Hinkie.
No.
President Dawson.
Aye.
Third and final.
Got a motion from Mr. Mishler.
Second.
Second from Mr. Fish for third and final. Melody, would you read this by title and do a roll call vote, please?
Proposed ordinance 24-0-50, I'm sorry, 24-0-50. An ordinance amending ordinance number 5983, an ordinance annexing certain real estate described as Elkhart East Annexation, Phase 1, into the city of Elkhart, Indiana. Councilman Holtz.
Yes.
Councilman Curry.
Yes.
Councilwoman King.
Yes.
Councilman Mishler.
Aye.
Councilman Fish.
Yes.
Councilman Crabtree.
Yes.
Councilman Hinkie. President Dawson.
Aye.
Passes 7-0.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Really? Got a motion from Mr. Mishler, second from Mr. Curry. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. We're adjourned.